The United Nations Security Council has approved a resolution calling for an immediate ceasefire in Gaza. Israel's longtime ally US abstained from voting, and experts say this highlights the all-time low in ties between US President Joe Biden and Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu during the ongoing war. Soon after the vote, Netanyahu abruptly scrapped a visit by a senior Israeli delegation to Washington. The aim of the meeting was to discuss Israel's planned offensive in Rafah. According to Netanyahu's office, the failure of the US to veto the resolution is a clear retreat from its previous position and will hurt Israel's war efforts. The threat of an offensive in Gaza's Rafah has increased tensions between US and Israel. Experts claim if the crisis is not managed carefully, it's only going to continue to worsen with time. The suspension of the meeting in Washington also jeopardizes US efforts to tackle the humanitarian catastrophe in Gaza. At the same time, it puts a major obstacle in the way of Biden administration to get Netanyahu to consider alternatives to a ground invasion of Rafah. Biden's decision to abstain from UN voting also appears to reflect growing US frustration with Netanyahu. Earlier this month, Biden said that a Rafah invasion will be a red line. However, he added that US is not going to cut off military aid to Israel. Netanyahu dismissed Biden's criticism and vowed to press forward into Rafah regardless. On the other hand, both the leaders are dealing with political pressures of their own. In November, Biden will face his Republican rival Donald Trump as he aims for another term in the White House. The US president faces pressure not just from America's allies but from a growing number of fellow Democrats as they call to limit Israel's offensive in Gaza. And at the same time, Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu is facing domestic challenges of his own. Far-right coalition members are demanding a hard line against the Palestinians. He is also facing growing calls for hostages' families to bring back their loved ones and the frequent protests calling for Netanyahu's resignation, which only adds to his problems.